Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Um, this is episode 2003. So today we're going to talk about my 2003. And I didn't rewatch yesterday's episode. Yesterday, the last 2 days episodes were recorded last week because I was traveling for Christmas, so Christmas presents. I didn't rewatch, and I think I misspoke. When 2003 began, I was still a service advisor. I don't know where I left off yesterday. But 2003 is the year that had by far the most profound impact on my life so far. Becoming a Marine was one thing, but 2003 really changed everything and will change everything for the future, right? And that's because I met my ex-wife. Well, re-met. So, start of 2003, I was still a service advisor for Chevrolet, and our parts department manager quit. And he had quit and come back once before, I think, or something like that, and then he really quit. And I threw my name in the ring and said, I want to be a parts department manager. So I was 23 or 24 when I became a manager of a parts department. Now, I had run a warehouse in the Marines, so I was very familiar with warehousing. I was very good at stock control and inventory control and management and all that sort of stuff. That's why I threw my hat in the ring. The owner of the dealership was a British gentleman named Andy, who he had also become a manager of a parts department at an early age. I think he said he was like 19 or something when he got promoted to parts department manager, and so he took a chance on me. And so that was like early 2003. The story of meeting my ex-wife, we had met in high school. She had come in when I was still a service advisor to get her car worked on. I believe that was a few months earlier. And then I gave her my number, and she ended up calling me. I told her, like, if you ever need anything, call me. And so it was like, I feel like it was a while later when she called me and said, do you want to hang out? And I said, yeah. I was lonely. I was looking for love, or whatever. Not necessarily love, but companionship. So, start of 2003 was a life-defining time. The owner said that he wanted me to move to Morgantown. He said he would like for all of his managers to live in the community they work in. So I agreed and started apartment hunting. At the same time, I started, hanging out with my ex-wife and becoming close with her. So, I had gone from wanting to be, as a teenager, wanting to be a computer programmer to kind of doing it in the Marines and hating it, to falling into this ability to become like a yuppie, basically. I had a free car, a dealership car I didn't have to pay for. I was making, he started me off at $36,000 a year, which in 2003 was really good for a 23-year-old kid. I was doing very well for myself. I had a small apartment, and I had no responsibilities. And then my ex came into the picture. And so she was getting off of a messy divorce. I don't know the details of all of that, never really asked. But I said, you can come stay with me as long as you need to, whatever. She was, rent was struggling. She was struggling. And I said, you can come stay with me, and she did. And we ended up getting married in July of that year, so 5 months later. And that would end up being the thing that truly dramatically changed my life. Because, so I become a parts professional. The dealership sends me to the NADA Dealership Academy to take the parts department portion of that thing. The NADA has an academy where they certify like general managers, and those general managers go through intense training on all departments of the dealership. I did just the service and parts part, 1 week. That was in Tyson's Corner, New Jersey. That was my first ever time traveling for work, like being comped for travel. I had a per diem, and I had, you know, everything was paid for. That was wild to me. I didn't know that sort of thing existed. Part of this dealership, I think I mentioned it. I'm going to make noise. Part of it was this dealership also did Mercedes. That ended up being a pivotal part of my life as well, working for, with, or however you want to say it, Mercedes for a little while. Ended up being, that really, I thought I was going to be like a professional. I thought maybe I had a chance to go work for Mercedes. I think I could have. I kind of got recruited. I think I could have done it, but I just was getting married or whatever. So we found out the night before our wedding. So we had planned our wedding and everything, and obviously everything was set up. We found out the night before that she was pregnant. Changed things pretty dramatically. That was obviously a big part of, this 2003 story. And we got married on a Sunday, had a dry reception, and I drove us to Key West, Florida, nonstop, 19 hours, in my company car. I didn't tell them I was taking it, but I did. Took it all the way to Key West. Spent like a week there, or 5 days there, or something like that. And then drove back and went straight to Dublin, Ohio for the Dublin, Ohio Irish Festival, where Flogging Molly was playing. So I got to be there. If you've followed the band for any amount of time, you will know that that year was their first year at the Dublin Irish Festival, and every member in the band remembers that night. It was wild. The Irish Festival was a very traditional, Irish festival with dancing and traditional Irish music. They had invited this band who was this now famous Irish rock band. They did not know what to expect. It was like a $10 entry fee for the festival, and then you got to watch the show for free. And so, like, thousands of punks showed up in the middle of the night to watch this concert, just wreck the place. It was wild. It was a very fun evening. So again, and that was my first time. So I'd seen them the year before. That time I saw them was the first time I got to meet the band. So that is the third thing that happened that year. That was life changing for me. I would say that the takeaway. So I was on a path to becoming a professional, just a standard urban yuppie. I moved into a city apartment, and it wasn't really in the city, but I moved into a small apartment nearby, and we lived there for the entirety of 2000. Well, after February, I lived there for the entirety of 2003. I think I got that apartment in March because I moved in January or February of the following year, and I ended up having to pay a couple of months' rent because the guy wouldn't let me out of my lease. So, the real life-changing event, we got married in July, found out she was pregnant the night before our wedding. She miscarried like 3 or 4 weeks later and was devastated. Like, absolutely devastated. I think, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure she miscarried again that year. I think we had 2 miscarriages at the end of that year, and I did not handle it well. I handled it very poorly. I don't know what. It's not a laughing thing, I was not supportive. I was not emotionally available for it. I was trying to, build a career, build a foundation. I just was like, why are you so upset about this? Let's just keep going until it'll happen, right? The doctors are like, this is normal, whatever. But for her, it was traumatic. And for me, it was like, let's just keep going. Like, we're going to do this eventually. And I believe that within, just a few months of being married, our relationship was basically already over. Like, she had written me off as being unavailable for her. And, we stayed married for 17 years. I mean, technically, on paper, that's a fact. And so that's why it was such a life-changing year for me. So many different things happened in my life. I went in a completely different career direction than I expected, but my personal life took a whole bunch of changes that I did not expect, and have put me on this path to where I am right now. And better or worse, I have regrets from that year, but I'm also very happy that a lot of the things that year happened. I think that I gained a lot of perspective and made a lot of positive change in my life. So I believe that 2003 was the most influential year of my life. What were you doing back then? Any idea? Was it a big year for you? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is temerity. It is a noun meaning possessing of boldness and confidence, perhaps unwarranted by the situation at hand. Anne, the girl who just moved into our gated community, had the temerity to ask if we would invite her to one of our galas. Temerity. Temerity. I feel like if you're new to a gated community, you would be the one that people would want to ask. And maybe you not asking is very temerarious.